I am very much jerry-rigging this phone stand right now. Kind of wish I had something else so I could be able to show this. But there we go. All right. Well, welcome back to Model Abominations. I know it is, one, a day late, and two, actually about an hour and a half late if we were on the correct day. Looking at getting into this, let's just say things have been a little crazy. I actually had to get myself up on a schedule, like self-set schedule, in order to be able to better handle this, which, you know what, that's kind of amusing that I, of all people, am now on a schedule, and the ironic part is I set it for myself. All right, well, we haven't got into the history yet of these. Hey, Dan. But from what I understand, the F80 Shooting Star, which is the base we're going to be using today, was, I believe, the first U.S. jet. And the BM-24-12 was one of the insane rocket launchers. Soviet Union's like, hey, I'm going to smack a lot of rockets onto this truck. Ow! Paper cut. And that really set the tone for Soviet artillery for umpteen years. Umpteen years, what am I saying? It's said it's still to this day. So there we have it. We'll be using the plane base, mostly because it's just so much easier. One sec, I really wish I could take a picture of everything that's happening over here, because I can't find the tape. Yeah, I literally use a tape roll to put my phone into to hold that up. So right now I'm looking at a phone that is taped up and twined up on a makeshift phone stand. And I just wish I could take a picture of that. But anyways, we're going to get into this first. Because you guys are not here to listen to me talk. Okay. And I usually end up painting the cockpit over, so I'm not going to worry about the pilot at all. Which is pretty good, because it looks like we're going to have a little bit of a jumble. Oh, also, if no one's got a chance to see it yet, this was the last Model Abomination we did. This was the B-17 base with a just shitload of extra stuff onto it. Alright, let's get into it. Ow. Paper cuts, they sting. Again, we're not really going to worry about the pilot or anything like that. So, and we're not going to worry about the landing gear, because this was not a patron request, unlike the last one, so I get to keep it, and I want to actually pretend to fly around. Get some really cool action shots with it, so I'm not going to worry about the landing gear. Thankfully, there's less parts, and it's smaller than the last one, so it's going to be a lot easier to deal with. Number 7. All right. This is going to get a little bit interesting, considering some of the parts are actually on this attached to something, and some aren't. But both of these were actually a new kit, so that's neat. And all right. I got it upside down, apparently. Looks like. All right, that's where we're going to be setting this thingamabobber today. Okay, this on the side. I still have yet to actually let paint and spray my desk. Once I take care of that, then there's going to be a lot less in terms of little debris getting on these. But the paint job usually takes care of that pretty admirably. Okay, I just want to go ahead and check to make sure that this isn't supposed to be down further. Because this was piece number 7. That's where it starts to get annoying. Alright, let's see. I don't know, I'm looking over there. 7, down. Yeah, it looks like it. Sweet. This rubber cement may take a little bit to fully dry, but when it does, it is hard as plastic. So mistakes can be a little bit costly if you don't catch them in time. Okay, let's see. Number 11. There we are. The only piece that actually looks like it. Goes in the ass end of the aircraft. Yes. I could have used a lot of different words, but I'm not going to. Thankfully, this one will actually be up far sooner than the last model Abomination. Again, I had to go ahead and get myself onto a little bit of a schedule because I am irresponsible otherwise. And this is a lot simpler and smaller than the last one. Ooh, fits together well, too. Nice. It's always kind of a toss-up. You can definitely tell the P-series aircraft designs. I'll see. I think I'm going to keep silver as the base. Because that looks pretty good. And honestly, it's the color scheme of the aircraft. So I got some extra silver paint around here. We'll go ahead and when I'm done, just paint that over, keep it looking metallic. Ought to turn out looking pretty cool. Alright. Oops. The main difference that you see, besides it being a freaking jet aircraft, is different wing setup than the... Well, you think of the P51 and P47. P51 especially. This is a little bit more forward. More straight wing than P51. Just making sure everything's glued in. This is honestly going really well. It's probably one of the smoothest fuselages I've ever been able to put together. I know it's been a few months. That's not exactly saying a lot. But also something interesting that we're going to be doing, and yes, everything up on the Patreon is free to look at, which includes the history for these, which that's going to be up here by the end of the week. Have I gotten into it yet? No. Am I going to? Yes. But another interesting thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be interviewing veterans in our local area, and we're going to be posting those up. In fact, the first one is going to be going up later today. 12, 14, and 16. Okay, that's not a piece of this. Shoot. I think I might have missed a couple of pieces. AKA the fuselage. But that's why we've got additional pieces, huh? 12. Why would 12 be fitting in like that? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Oh, okay. That's because that goes on the side. That makes a lot more sense. Number 16 is where I'm concerned because I don't actually see a clear piece. Maybe got knocked around in the bustle. If not, it's going to be extra pieces. It's just one of those things. We'll be grabbing some more fuselage parts. This one work? It's going to be too big. That one actually might work with a little bit of modification. Either it didn't come with it, or I simply lost it. Most likely case is I simply lost it. Well, we get to use the heat gun today. Alright. And yes, I'm not bothering with the pilot because all I ever really do is just... Hang on. Okay, those go forward of the aircraft. All I ever do with the pilots is just go ahead and paint over the fuselage anyways. Huh, that's kind of neat. Wouldn't expect it to go like that. But apparently it does. I never really understood doing details on pieces that you aren't going to be looking at. The BA-1 armored car kit that I got, the one that I put with the MiG, that one was really well done because you had the base kit and a lot of it was just smooth parts, and then you had a bunch of extra small panels for like the turret and the doors, which had all the detail work done that you added to the panels. That was a very smart way to do it, honestly. Because you could get the base done and then you could get all the extra panels and stuff done. Which it might be the same with this kit over here. I don't know. We will be finding out shortly. Just gotta arrange it properly. As much as we can have fascinations with the early jets, and yeah, they were good. They were breaking technology, right? You gotta love Chuck Yeager. If you don't know who he is, he's the first American to go ahead and break the sound barrier. I'm not sure if he was the first person overall, but I know he's the first American. He was in the U.S. Air Force, and quote from him is, "The first time I ever saw a jet, I shot it down." You just gotta love it. Dude was a badass through and through. Okay. That doesn't seem correct. Almost seems like that would be better. I didn't put this upside down, did I? No, it goes on the bottom. Oh, okay, that's why. That's because it fits in well. It's sad that this thing's baffling me because it fits together so well. I've gotten a lot of the ones leading up to this point, except for the B-17. B-17 was a good one. But I got a lot of the ones where you kind of have to force it together and it doesn't fit together well. Now when I've got one that's actually fitting together exactly as it should, it confuses me. Tell you what, though, I've been taking away a lot of my free time. And by a lot, I mean literally all of it. We've got the new... Well, besides this, we have the new Interviewing the Veterans, which has a kind of corny working title, which I'm going to wait for the actual cards to come in. Yes, I'm getting cards for it before I unveil that. Then we've got this. Then we've got a lot of book projects I'm working on, as well as my job and another basically campaign turning into a book. So I hate myself when I've got free time, apparently. That's the only thing I'm running into. Okay, where's those tail pieces? There we are. It's going to matter. See, take note, MiG. This is what you're supposed to have for tail pieces. The MiG-19 kit I got, the one that fit together very, very poorly, did not have the little slots for the tail pieces. You had to glue them on best as you could, and that's about the point I got annoyed and turned it into an abomination. Like, before I even got to the other kit. Usually, the way this goes, I go ahead and put these together best as I can, and then I turn it into an abomination. That MiG, though, that was very annoying to work on. Apparently, it wasn't exactly the funnest to fly either, but... Also, can we all appreciate how the fact that the early jets all were pretty ugly? Like, this thing starts out pretty good, but it is not as smooth or charismatic looking as the other vehicles, the prop planes. But they did get, admittedly, a lot better looking as time went on. I'm just making sure this... Yes, it actually fits together really well. I very much love this model, I think. I think I'm going to love it. Nah, B-17 still got my heart. Doo-doo-doo. I was told I should become a radio talk show host. Can I help it that I love to talk? Not really. Yeah, riddle me that. I don't like people, even in the slightest. Save for certain few. But I love to talk. Yeah, that makes a lot of evolutionary sense right there. See, so this is what I'm talking about on the wings. Right, they're a lot more just straight instead of swept back. And again, jets, about that point in history, you weren't really looking at aerodynamics. You're like, well, got a jet engine. Who needs swept back wings? We'll just make this thing kind of ugly. Still, cool. All right, that's how it's going to fit on there. This thing, I actually have the not a full history. It's a summary more than anything on this thing. But yeah, it's made its initial flight on January 8th, 1944. And it got produced first entered service in 1948. So we really weren't that far behind the Germans in terms of jet aircraft. I know this is kind of almost bad to say, and TikTok may get mad at me for it, but with everything about World War II aside, you have to wonder how different technology today would look if it hadn't occurred. Our jet aircraft technology, our tanks, our nuclear bombs, everything about the world would be so much different if it hadn't occurred. It's one of those things as an amateur historian, because apparently that's what I am now, as has been told to me by numerous people. It makes you really wonder, questions, theories, and absolutely no way to really figure it out. And I gotta hold it like this in order to actually get the wings to glue in properly. Let's see, are we looking at anything really else? Number 7 and 8 are going to be the front pieces. That's over here. And I'm going to really leave off. I'm going to glue together the external drop tanks and stuff, but that and the bombs. But I'm going to actually put those in my kit of doom. And everything external for this is coming out of this kit, which that's where it's going to get interesting because you're looking at the difference between green and silver. So I have a feeling I'm going to be doing a lot of painting of the rockets and stuff. Just have a gap right here that I don't really like. But that's what filler's for, right? So, not bad coming along, huh? It really looks in what we'd have termed today more close air support rather than a jet. Like, it does not really have that aerodynamic, sleek look that we associate with a dogfighter. Then again, that really didn't come along till the end of Vietnam, so I guess it wasn't too bad. Okay, I'm going to flip it over. Pieces 7 and 8. Okay, that's why it was set so far back. For the wheels. Like, we're not bothering with the wheels. I don't want the wheels. I want this thing to be able to have some action shots. And I can't do that with wheels. All goes well. I might actually be able to get this up by this afternoon. I don't have to work till 2 yet. It's been a little bit of a doozy trying to keep that free time. A lot of chaos at work. I'm wondering if I can just leave those for now. Because, again, that's for the open wheels. I'm going to leave these for now. Later, if I can't get those filled in somehow, then I will worry about it later. I'm going to set these aside because these aren't going to be used. there's this. Or if I can get it off the table. When in doubt, use the edge of the table. Let's see. Nothing really of there for now. Number 21 and 23 to go ahead and get that in. That is one nice thing about the jet aircraft in comparison to normal. You don't have to worry about a bunch of the extra stuff. Jets are a lot more sleek in their look. If I can figure out how to go ahead and just get these in. Oh, crap. Again, when in doubt, use rubber cement, which is what I might very well do. I'm just kind of looking at this right now, trying to figure out how these were supposed to go on in the first... Okay, good. We're saved it. We're good. We're good. First place. Almost looks like that's what they were doing. Yeah, but that doesn't really seem right. I feel like I'm taking one of those put the block in the correct slot tests and utterly failing. I feel like I'm an idiocracy. Okay, well, ooh, what's this? This looks interesting. What am I going to do with it? I'm going to put it on somebody. Curiosity speaking, where was it actually supposed to go? Okay, so it's got a bunch of the external pieces. I don't know, actually. Where's... No? Oh, that was supposed to be like the pilot docking bay stuff. Not pilot docking. This is bathtub where the pilot sits. Well, I'm going to keep it because that looks interesting. Everything else can go in. The piece that isn't supposed to be a piece. All right. I feel like this is just the grown-up Legos at this point. That's all this is. Now, for the abomination. Oh, this is gonna be fun. This is a lot of parts. And now I'm gonna have a couple extra truck pieces. Well, we're not gonna use that. Let's see. Might be using some parts of that. We're not gonna be using the wheels. Who knows? I might actually have enough of the truck, like the actual just truck chassis, to build the truck. Which would be kind of cool. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to really be using any of these. I can make those look like guns. Or PPUs. Stupid TikTok. Is that going to be able to... Nah, that doesn't really flow. What's that? See, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I know it may be kind of hard to see there, but you got the flat back. And then on the front, you've got some more detail work. I know, kind of hard to see. But that way, it can be really flat on the actual model when you're putting together, and then you've got all the external nice-looking pieces. Okay, that we will definitely be able to use. And you've got all these rails, which, of course, technically those are supposed to be for the rock. I just dropped a piece. Somewhere. That wasn't important. There's a lot of stuff. Well, that's gone forever. Where's the rockets? No, that's like one of the big things I had been looking at. Oh, okay. There they are. I have to glue all of them together. I'm starting to regret this. Well, no time like the present. Kind of smaller than I thought they'd be. Oops. Yeah, if you look at the Soviet artillery kind of, what would be the doctrine, I guess would be the best word for that. You look at that and compare it to the Russian doctrine today, and you'll find them being the exact same. Throw a bunch of stuff down range and hope it hits. We can't hit anything precise, so we're going to hit everything. That's just how it goes. That's how they treat their artillery. And they really treat their Air Force as just mobile artillery. It's just an extension. I actually know these little bit historical facts, so we're going to get into it. World War II, you really saw the Air Force emerge as its own branch. Prior to that, especially during and after World War I, you had normally Army Air Corps. And the Air Force was, again, as is known, the Army Air Corps, did not operate independently. It was attached to the Army. It was just seen as another facet of it. And they were used to support ground troops. That was their entire purpose. In the U.S., at least, it was kind of with the development of long-range strategic bombers, specifically the B-17, is what led to the Air Force showing off that it could do more than just close air support and covering for the Army. They were a very capable branch in and of their own right, which actually got FDR on their side after a little political stunt. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. Where's the fins? Just got through clipping all of these, but you look at it, and these do not look like the rockets in the picture. Kind of false advertising, which that's actually, you know what, for Russia, that's pretty par for the course. False advertising. And that's not even the right rails. What is that? Yeah, that's beautiful. They have two different pictures here. Either that or that's... Oh, no. Kit bashing. Neat. I don't care about that. That's literally just them going, hey, you can combine this. Oh, wow, that's just advertising. But you kind of have the same thing here. But it is clearly two very different vehicles. Okay, apparently you're supposed to combine these into circular slots, and that is the actual artillery. Neat. I might be using a little more from the jet kit than I first envisioned. But it is quite false advertising. That's pretty par for the course when it comes to Russia. Can we all just agree on that? And anyone who argues against it, I would remind them that a Soviet jet, I forget which one, was touted as the most excellent jet that ever existed and all that, right? And they completely bragged about its capabilities to the point where the U.S. panicked during the Cold War. Like, oh no, we have to have something that can beat their jet. So they came up with the F-15, and it was found out that the Russian jet, it was a pile of trash. So Russian lies and lying about their capabilities made the U.S. kind of go into panic mode and create one of the best jet fighters that ever existed. The thing has a real-world combat record of like 144-0. Meaning, yes, it's been shot down. All right? No vehicle, no aircraft is unbeatable and untouchable. Not even the F-22. Right? But at the same time, that thing has never been shot down by an enemy aircraft. That's kind of the entire point about it. This is going to take a little bit of time just putting all these together. So the fact that I opened up a kit that is for a Russian vehicle and the packaging looks a lot better than what's actually being put together. Like you're looking for actual rockets instead of just these little bitty things, as is shown in the picture and diagram and all that jazz, and it's not there. You're like, well, I mean, it's Russian, so is that actually a Russian kit? I'm actually very curious now. Who produced this? Who produced it? Come on. Ukraine. Yeah, same area. For anyone confused by that, remember Ukraine used to be part of the Soviet Union, and that's why I made the jab. That's actually 2 kits I put together from the Ukraine now. Both of them being for Russian vehicles. Huh. Just more parts. My hands are going to be completely covered in model glue. I hope you guys are happy. And no, I will not be commenting on the current conflict. That is because that's not what you all are here for. Or, I mean, some of you may be, but I don't care about those people. The majority of the people who like and follow this stuff aren't here for my cutting-edge commentary on current conflicts. That's a lot of C words. So I will do what is very rare nowadays and simply keep my opinions to myself. It's very nice. It's very healthy. Also, on this channel, we will not be doing naval vessels for a while. That is mostly because... Actually, that is completely because they're freaking expensive. The 1 to 700 scales are impossible to work on, at least for me. I almost need micro tools at that point and freaking magnifying glasses, and I don't have the equipment I need to properly do those. And the 1 to 350 scales, which is the next size up that I could actually work on, are freaking expensive. I mean, maybe not for a lot of people, but they are for me. Yeah, I work a part-time job to do this. Well, not to do this specifically, but I work a part-time job. I don't need a full-time. And I'm quite happy without that level of stress, especially since I managed to create a bunch of projects to turn it into a full-time job anyways. So, right now, it is not feasible. Maybe if I get some more followers on Patreon or something like that, or people actually willing to support me to do this, but on Patreon, it's not something that's required. I don't charge for anything, including looking at the history of this stuff. I don't find this something to charge for. So I don't charge for it, which means I don't have money coming in from this. I mean, technically, I have 1 follower and I get a grand total of, after taxes and Patreon's cut, 76 cents a month. So it's not exactly lucrative. Yeah, you get stuff from being patron, but it's not something that's charged for. Or the main content. You don't get any unlocked stuff, so I don't want to charge people to look at this stuff. I just wouldn't feel comfortable. I don't feel like it's worth it. Speaking of Patreon, all the history for this stuff is going to be up there. Again, it's not charged for. The action shots of everything that I've done is on there. Again, it is not charged for. It is all free to view. And people, if you leave back, feedback, that would be really appreciated. I've gotten, I think, 3 people leaving me feedback. One of them is currently watching this, and he is a good friend of mine. The other 2 are my coworkers. Alright? It's not like they've left a ton of feedback. Some good stuff. But most of the stuff that I've realized I need to change on, the history or doing this on the builds or painting everything, that's something that I found out because I go back and go ahead and check all of this. All right? Well, maybe not the build videos because I'm not going to sit there for 2 hours. But all the podcasts and everything like that, that is stuff that I have realized because I've gone back and looked at it. So, I mean, leave feedback. It's not going to hurt my feelings. I promise. If I get annoyed at some feedback, I simply won't abide by it. I'll be like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to continue what I'm doing. But I promise, I will be looking at everything. Okay. This would be a lot easier. Beep. My watch tells me that it's turned the hour. This is the hour. Well, look at that. That's a giant rack. Guessing that's what those go on, so here we go. Let's see how well these fit on the wings. And the history is something that will be looked at tonight. And, alright, we can cut those down a bit. It'll be looked at tonight, and it will be recorded in the next few days. Alright. I might as well just use this again. Waste not one, not all that. Get out of here. Might actually be using some of the external parts off of the other kit. You know what I need to get? I need to get kits with more missiles. Because I think I could put a lot more missiles on stuff. Okay, we're going to put that right there. Mostly because it'll be really easy to check. And if you notice, one of the things that is a kind of change on here since the last live is there's a lot less direct sunlight, even though this is occurring about the same time. And that's because I realized when I was looking over there and then that it was really hard to actually look at what was going on here. So I went ahead and changed that up. So it's like, if you can actually see this stuff, that is because I went back and looked at all this stuff. So please leave feedback. No matter what it is, even if it's something that's like, hey, I'd like to see more of this or that. Yes, Patreons are the only ones who their requests will actually be fulfilled. Like, that's the Patreons, they've got that guarantee. But it doesn't mean I don't look at other stuff. There's one I actually really want to do. A guy suggested a Junker Stuka. And one of the, I'm not sure if that's pronounced it, but one of the Stuka bombers. And it was like, and yeah, I'm going to definitely go do that. And hang on. Excuse me. Son of a bitch. But, and then there was a suggestion to combine a Tiger with a Sherman, which I'm going to do. They have a Tiger for sale at the model shop right now. Once I have enough money, I'm going to go do that. So, yes, Patreons have theirs guaranteed, but you don't need to. Okay? So if you've got a cool idea, let me know. If you got feedback. It's like, hey, it's a little hard to see you doing this or whatever. Okay? I need that in order to improve. If I'm doing something that really just annoying you and kind of turning you off this entire thing, I should have phrased that a lot better. But if you find something that's just making, like, that's an unforgivable sin, let me know. I can only adjust what I'm doing if people freaking let me know. And, you know how many tips I've got from online? Actually, okay, technically 4 people have given me feedback, but one of those guys, it was less feedback, more just suggestions to what to do later. So I've had one person online give me feedback. Total of 3 people. Total of 3 people. Hello, welcome to the Department of Redundancy Department. A grand total of 3 people give me feedback, just in general. Again, 2 of those were coworkers. People I see on a pretty constant basis. So, yeah, if you guys find something that you're like, that's an unforgivable sin, let me know. I can and will improve. Do you notice all the, feedback, reverberations, because I'm in a metal shipping container? This is my shop. That will get fixed. It takes time, because you've got 3 really categories that you can do on improvements, or really anywhere in life. Cheap, good, fast, right? You can have 2 of that one category. You can have 2 of the categories, but not the third. So it can either be cheap and good, but it's not going to be fast. You can have good and fast, but it's not going to be cheap. Or you can have good and cheap, but it's not going to be fast. Or, I think I already said that one. You get the idea. You're intelligent adults. At least most of you are adults. I hope you guys are intelligent. So you kind of get where I'm coming from. I don't have money to play around with. Therefore, it'll be good, because that is absolutely something I'm going to do. It's going to be good. But it has to be cheap. Therefore, it's not going to be fast. It'll be slow improvements over a long time. That's just kind of how it has to go. That's the only way I can do it right now. It will get done. But I don't know what to fix if people don't tell me what I need to fix. I know I've been going on for 5-10 minutes at this point, but... And anybody wonder why I'm doing this, of all things, on an account that was originally for cosplay and jokes? An account that is basically not really having anything updated to it? Yeah, it's because no real feedback. All right? No, and just people not really paying any attention. So when you do jokes, right? When you tell jokes, when you try to be funny, stuff like that, if it garners 0 attention over a long time, again, I had almost 6,000. I had 5,700 something over the course of 3 or 4 years. Slow but pretty steady growth, which I loved. I was able to go tell jokes. I got some feedback, some reactions. It was beautiful. And then that just completely died off. And I'm like, I got a couple theories of why, but unfortunately, it was nothing that I did. It was things that I could not affect or control. So it was one of those things of, well, I'm going to switch up the focus and now do what I really want to do, what I have time for, because trying to do stuff without getting burned out is difficult enough. When there is literally nothing coming back to you, right? It's getting no engagement, literally no engagement. That's when you get to the point of, you're like, well, I guess because this is taking a lot of energy and time, I suppose now I'm simply going to go do what I really do want to actually do. For me, that's my writing, and now I got this, which is really fun, and actually is getting feedback. Well, not feedback, but at least some engagement. Damn it. I've always been interested in history, and I got into the cosplay and stuff because it made people laugh. Was I good at it? No. Was it expensive stuff? Also no. But was it fun, and did it bring people chuckles? Yes. And for a while there, I'm not going to lie, it really was beneficial to my mental health. Because let's just say I wasn't exactly in the greatest place. It gave a very welcome distraction, a focus, something I could put my energy to and interact with the world, right? Then that kind of just stopped. And I'm married. I've got responsibilities here at home. We have 10 acres. It's a family, I'm not going to say ranch because it really isn't, but it's family. My parents have 5 acres, and me and my wife have 5 acres. And we've got horses. I've got my job. I can't waste time on doing something that really isn't a passion, because you get the people that are like me, but cosplay is really their passion. And it never really was to me. Again, it was an outlet, a way to interact with the world, and that just kind of stopped. So what do? You go to an outlet that's really working, something you very much enjoy. And that's what I'm doing. So I know that's a very long spiel and a tangent more than anything, but that's why I don't like just sitting here and not talking and putting this stuff together, right? I got to keep myself engaged. That was really the entire point. So, long tangent aside, or long tangent, I should say, being wrapped up, that's why you're seeing an account that was originally dedicated to cosplay and stuff now doing stuff like this, because suddenly I'm looking at accounts with a couple hundred followers that are getting more engagement than me. And it's not a couple of them, they're just videos of not very good gamers. Like, we're not talking it's great quality stuff. And so I'm looking at going, well, I'm really putting a lot of effort into it. It's getting zero feedback, engagement, barely any views. And then I go ahead, I'm like, well, this is something really cool to put my energy to. And I put up one video without the model abominations. All right, that was something that wasn't touching on it. It was more of an update than anything. And that one, there wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot of engagement, which I'm perfectly fine with. Again, that account has 17 followers. 17. The other videos have had a couple hundred views. Actually, no, the last one broke 1,000. The other two are at least 800 of the model abomination. So it's like, hey, this is something that... Oops. Got it glued to my finger. This is something that is definitely a good outlet for me. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm delving into history, like I always wanted to. And people are interested. I'm getting not a lot of feedback. Again, that was kind of a huge complaint point for me. But I am getting people looking at what I'm doing, interested in what I'm doing. They're looking at it. They're sharing it. This is, again, history. Huh. Well, I'm going to take this other thing that honestly is kind of a dried up well, because it's no longer something that's providing me enjoyment or contact with the outside world. Again, nobody's seeing it. And I'm going to take a look at the thing that I've really loved to do. I've always loved history, which is actually getting people looking at it. All right? When I show it to people in real life, it's something that's very interesting to them. I'm going to just focus all my energy on that. Doesn't help that this account, I'm starting to watch my follower count drop on here, which, you know what? We're more than our follower accounts. So, I'm not too worried about it, especially since that's extremely fair. I'm not doing anything on here. Like, I'm going to be doing occasional jokes, but there's not going to be a lot. I had to set a schedule so I could stay freaking focused and not get burnt out. So I was trying to do everything at once. It wasn't working. Until I tried to set these rockets in. So I'm watching the follower count on here drop, which is perfectly alright. Focusing on that. But at the same time, it kind of hurts, because this is something I spent 4 years on. Alright? Made this account 4 freaking years ago. And it's definitely helped me, a couple of friendships I made on here. Really helped me through some tough spots, but all in all, it's just something that's frustrating. Again, I did not expect this to turn into a rant, but that's what you get when you, I guess, hop on one of my lives, or in this case, lots more people are probably going to be looking at this because of the build video. And kind of going back to that, the build, I don't exactly have a lot of followers on YouTube. I got like 13 of them. Right? And the build video I did of the MiG was my most viewed video at 80 followers. I mean, not 80 followers, 80 views. So just something that was kind of spur of the moment. I did that, and suddenly, bam. Neat. Well, I guess all my other work that I've ever tried to do is kind of useless at this point. Alright. All ranting aside. Okay, no, not ranting aside. We're going to continue in this. Congratulations, you are now in Tucker Hatfield's therapy hour. Oh no, you said your real name. My real name's literally freaking everywhere. If you look at this account, or the TikTok account that this came from, it's literally got my real name. Who gives a shit? Well, that'll work well. It's kind of annoying, you know? Spent kind of some years building this up. It's not a lot, but it's my little corner of nothing. And then it's like, hey, where'd everybody go? I thought that'd work really well there. Apparently not. Well, I guess we'll do some, put this on the back, huh? Yeah, that'll look good. So yeah, feedback, people. Give me some feedback. I don't know what to correct if people stay silent on the matter. And some of that I will disregard. Right? Some of it is just I'm going to be looking at it and going, well, that's maybe it's good advice that I just can't implement at this point in time. And some of it's like, well, that's not really advice I'm going to consider whatsoever. But all of it will be looked at. And if you're like, hey, you're doing this really well, but there's a couple points that I'm really finding is just you could be a lot more interesting and probably keep a lot more engagement if you implemented a couple just simple changes. I'd look at those changes and go, hey, does this make sense? Is it just someone speaking out of their ass, or is this someone who's actually giving some good feedback? And if it's the good feedback, I'm going to then look at, hey, is this something I can implement at this point in time? Will I be able to do it? Yes? Well, sweet. Let's go ahead and get that in there. And if it's not, then I'm going to put it on my board of improvements. Not a literal one. Actually, I'm going to turn it into an actual list very shortly. But it's going to be one of those things of, all right, we will get it on this schedule to getting completed. The reason I can't do this inside where there's less reverberation is because of the glue. However, I'll be working on that a little bit. I'm going to be turning this into an actual shop. That means there's going to be sound, there's going to be actual insulation, but also some soundboard all around here. The interviews and the histories are improving by leaps and bounds. So not exactly because of anything feedback anybody else has given, but because I've gone and listened to them and looked at what I can improve on it. I'm like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. Imagine if I'm starting to really get my butt in gear and really improving on several things. Imagine what I can do if people listening gave criticism or thoughts on matters and stuff like that. I think I could improve a lot, actually. What do you guys think? Jokes. I never get any feedback on here. Now, that's actually a serious question, though. If you're watching this live or watching this video, most likely the video, people don't stick around very long in the lives, except you, Dan. I still value you. go ahead and give feedback. Leave a comment on the videos. You can message me on Patreon. Again, it's not something that's freaking charged for. So there are numerous ways to get in contact with me. Leaving a comment on the video is probably easiest. I will be seeing it. But if you've got a lot more advice than you think can be put on there, shoot me a message. I'm more than willing to look at them. If you got some ideas on how I can improve, stuff I can implement, please let me know. I promise it's not something I'll get annoyed over. Are there things that am I going to take all the advice I get? No. Will I heavily consider all the advice I get? Absolutely. All right. I'm off that. I promise I'm off that for now. We will be going ahead and doing the painting. I don't know. I'd have to check my schedule. No, honestly, we'll be doing the painting here before too long. I've actually got a couple late night shifts that I'll be able to really do a lot of the painting then. Would I be able to? Nah, not really. I'd be, yeah. Okay, let's flip it over to its belly. Is anything going to fall off? Oh, okay. Let's get some stuff on the top of it, huh? Meow. It's got a little hat. See, what time is it? Looking at 10:21. I don't know why I didn't just look at my watches. So this is definitely going to be one of the shorter build videos. Because it's a lot simpler. A lot less to do. I'm not going to lie, it's actually a nice change of pace, right? The B-17. I have got to stop saying, I learned to do better. What is wrong with me? The B-17 was very fun to work on. I am not going to lie. It was a little bit of added stress since I got called into work, but very fun to work on. There was a lot, though. There really was. The thing's giant, okay? Well, I just got a nice whiff of model glue. The B-17 is giant. Right? The thing was 103 feet wingspan, 108 feet, somewhere in there. It was like almost 80 feet long. So the thing, again, these are the same scale. There was a lot more than went into this. The jet's going to be fun because I was actually doing the action shots. Really looking at those. The prop planes, I need to figure out a way to make those propellers look like they're moving. I need to get something. I've got a couple ideas floating around, but with these, you don't have to worry about it. With the jets, I'm going to paint the engines to look like they're glowing. I need some hot rod orange. Next paycheck, I'm going to go pick up some more paints. But I can at least do red on this. Mixture orange and red. But you can put them up and it really make it look like they are actually flying. Because, again, it's nothing added. that's kind of cool. It kind of looks like a drone now. Let's see. Speaking of which, looking at, well, not, I guess, speaking of the drone, but more of the cockpit. Trying to. All right, this is why I have snips. All right, first off, we're going to get this evened out. This is why we got extra parts, people. I need to stop by and look at those junk parts the guys got. Okay, is that gonna... Okay, that'll kind of fit in on the front. And then, yeah, I think we can work with that. We can definitely work at that. Because, again, I paint these clear plastic pieces anyways. I don't like fooling around with trying to paint the pilot. I really don't. Maybe one of these days, but for right now, Why, when I can just paint the glass black and take a huge load of work off. But yeah, this is why I have to do this outside, even though the inside is a lot less sound feedback and shit. Because even now I'm kind of still dealing with the fumes. Inside it really builds up. And I really don't really want to get high every time I do this. Does not seem like a fun time to me. Alright, we'll continue working on the front. A couple of these pieces. Just trying to make them look uniform. I'll tell you what, a lot of people apparently like Soviet vehicles. Went ahead and put some Russian sound, I think it was the Soviet theme, to the when I posted the video that had the MiG. The MiG is the base. And holy cow. Why, people? Seriously, why? I don't understand. I really don't understand at this point. Oh, Soviet Union, very strong. No, Soviet Union, very big. Did I just do a political statement? Yes, I guess I did. Seriously, though. Maybe people will get mad at me for this one, but I don't really care. The Soviet Union wasn't that good. It just wasn't, okay? But people are huge fans of it, and you have to ask yourself really one question. Why? Oh, because they took wealth away from really big people, and they went ahead and distributed it among the commoners. Then why did so many people starve to death? Seriously. And I know that we all have a tendency when we look at something that we love to go ahead and look over some of the worst parts of it. We as Americans do this, okay? We're not immune. We do it a lot more than other people. But if I can admit that, all right, if I can admit that the things I love, like the Nordic cultures, had actually a lot wrong with them, all right, I'm not going to romanticize it. Can we please start doing that for the freaking Soviet Union? Okay? And also, remember, Soviet Union had a treaty with Germany first. Okay? Just can we look at that? People like to claim that Soviet Union liberated Poland from Germany. Soviet Union attacked Poland, okay? We're really just going to go over that. I'm just saying, a little more common sense would be appreciated. Let's see, we can slap these parts on. Okay, I'm done with the whole historical. No, I'm not. Any historian that you look at is going, if you try to talk up the Soviet Union, is going to have a field day with you. It is only college kids and people who aren't 18 yet that think it's a good thing. Any historian. I apparently have been dubbed as a historian by a couple people, but I'm not. I really wouldn't consider myself a historian. I don't have a degree or anything like that. It's not like I've devoted my life to this, and I feel like calling myself a historian really takes away from the people who have committed their lives to this. But if even I can see how we're going, oh, Soviet Union, communism, it's such a great thing, even I can explain why that's complete and utter bullshit. And if I can do it, do you think maybe there's something wrong with it? Just maybe. Okay, now I'm done. Probably. We'll find out. Let's see. I'm really looking at everything on the bottom holding on well. Yes. Looking, am I going to be able to put these on anywhere? not sure, actually. I think we're nearing the end of this, and considering it really hasn't been that long, that's kind of impressive, huh? Also, I'm just looking at all the people that joined, and the fact that, again, Dan is the only one who stuck around, so it's like, wow, people join then immediately leave. If only I had some feedback on why that is. Ridiculous. And not immediately leave. Some people actually stick around for a couple minutes. Man, if I had some feedback on what made them leave, I might be able to change that up. You know? Huh. Weird. It's really weird. Alright, that's a lot of extra parts. I don't think it's as much of an abomination as I could have made. But I think I'm going to go ahead and grab one of those. I want to oops, that dropped. Fuel tanker bomb. Which would be easier? Which would be cooler? I think I'll do the fuel tank. That's the last piece we're going to be putting on here. I can't even talk up Dan staying around. I know exactly why. It's because he has his background noise. That's why, okay? He's got a job that requires him to drive around a lot. Won't do any more details than that because it's not my place. But so he has this on his background music. Background rants at this point. He doesn't really just sit there and watch the entire thing. So I can't even talk him up staying around. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's appreciated and it definitely helps. Just going to sit here and hold this and then pray it doesn't dry to my fingers. I wonder if I can edit the video when I finally put it up. I'm going to check. If you're looking at this and like my hand's off the screen and now, I think where it is, my hand's off the screen here, when you're looking at this on YouTube, it's because I actually managed to figure out how to edit it to make it look that way. But honestly, it's not looking bad. I mean, it really isn't. It's not like I added a bunch of stuff. There was a sizable amount that was added, and with a good paint job, it's going to look rather natural. Like, I can't really lift it up a lot, but you saw the back earlier. Yeah, we're good here. I'm just going to let that dry. And the action photos for this, which I've got actually a couple of really neat plans, including using a couple of my old pieces. Like, it's going to really actually be something cool if I manage to pull it off. That is going to be up. I don't know. It's going to be up within the week. Within a week, I should say. That and the history, okay? So just pop on the Patreon, check it out. Again, it is freaking free. Okay? And some people are looking at it, which I do appreciate. But that's where we're going to end. And we've only been going about an hour and a half. Maybe a little more. So thank you, Dan, at least, for sticking around. And thank you for everyone who jumped in and immediately jumped out without leaving any feedback on how I can improve. Sarcasm, seriously. One sec, I just got to end this. Oh, wait, hang on. And before I do actually end this, this is more going to be because for YouTube. Thank you to my one Patreon. It is greatly appreciated. I guess if I do manage to edit this out successfully, I'll be editing half my face. But thank you for the one Patreon I have, or Patron. I can't speak. Can you notice that? And thank you for people who actually watch this. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you guys find something cool. And again, I've been saying it this entire time, leave feedback on how I can improve. I can't improve what I'm doing if people don't tell me. I can only catch so much when I go back and look at my stuff. And after that, it's kind of over with. I can't go back and retroactively fix stuff. I can only improve on future stuff. And so if people come back and they're looking at earlier episodes, and maybe I haven't improved a lot whatsoever, they're like, this guy hasn't improved. Or if maybe I have, but all they're looking at is my original stuff, there's not going to be a lot of stuff there. There's not going to be a lot of good stuff because I wouldn't have been able to improve yet. So let me know. Thank you for Dan for at least sticking around, and whoever reviewed this, especially the ones who just popped off without freaking saying anything. I'm trying to end this shit.